Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Brian. This is not going to be a chronic video. We are in the process of doing another chronic video in the summertime. School is about to be let out in about a week, so me and Aaron are going to be making more chronic videos. But today, I remember 2 years ago, I started collecting wrestling DVDs and a bunch of merchandise from WWE, TNA, Ring of Honor, and etc. like WCW and ECW and WWF, all the past companies. But even though WWF is WWE now, but okay. But I remember 2 years ago, it was during this week in May that I got my very first WWE DVD, or two of them, to start my collection, and I'm going to show you guys that in a couple of moments. But today this is going to be a video on my wrestling collection that I happen to own. I've been a huge wrestling fan since I was 3 years old. The very first time I actually got to enjoy wrestling was when I used to watch the Monday Night Wars with WCW and the WWF when they were fighting in the Monday Night Wars. And when I was 5 years old, I got my very first action figure. I can't remember what it was. I think it was a Hollywood Hogan action figure. And then I think that's when I got my very first video game for wrestling. I think it was probably WCW versus the World for the PlayStation 1. But yeah, it's been a long time since I remember my first wrestling moment. So I'm gonna be showing you guys my wrestling collection that I happen to own right now, and in the future I'm gonna get more merchandise and a bunch of stuff that can probably improve my collection than what it is now. And Ryback shirt, just to go with the collection in the video too. But he is an asshole, but you know. But okay. So I'm going to show you guys my wrestling collection that I happen to own right now. And so first, let's go see my DVDs. Alright guys, this is my DVD collection that I have right now, and I've counted. There's probably about 5 rows of DVDs, or I think 5.5 if you're just gonna stop like right over here, and all the rest are movies down there. But yeah, I've been collecting DVDs for 2 years, and I wanted to make like a 2-year anniversary of me collecting DVDs. If you all want to know what the first 2 DVDs that when I bought to start collecting, it was the Tombstone, The History of the Undertaker, and the other one's Twisted: The Disturbed Life of Kane, which started me collecting. Then a couple months later, in July, I started getting more DVDs. I got over $300 for my birthday, and then I decided to think like I should probably start building up a WWE / other companies' DVD collection. And then I bought some more DVDs, and then 2 years later, and it's gotten bigger. It's gotten big. So let's start off with the DVDs I happen to own right now. And the first, ignore all these right now. I'll get into that later in the video, but let's just focus on the DVDs first. Alright, so first I have the Volume 2 and the Volume 3 WrestleMania. If you all want to know where's Volume 1, I'm in the process of getting that in the future, but just not right now, because also you guys want to know that I have 3 more DVDs coming in the mail. I'm waiting for the CM Punk Best in the World 2-disc set on Blu-ray, and I'm waiting for the Money in the Bank and Over the Limit 2012 coming in, and then I think I'll be getting them like another week. So this is what I'm just gonna make a video I have right now. But alright, let's continue. Alright, so I have 3 WWF DVDs from 2000, Royal Rumble, King of the Ring, and SummerSlam. And those are really expensive DVDs. I think the most expensive DVD was probably the Royal Rumble DVD. It was probably like $30 for this DVD. Like, all the older pay-per-views are really expensive because they're kind of rare, since like not much of the WWF / like early WWE pay-per-views were not on DVDs. They were put on VHS. So that's why they're so expensive. That's what I think. But alright. Then we go on to 2001s. I have Royal Rumble and WrestleMania and WrestleMania. To this day, WrestleMania 17 is the most expensive DVD I've ever bought. This DVD cost me $75 and really good condition, because when I got this in the mail, it was wrapped in bubble wrap, like 2 layers of bubble wrap. That's how important this DVD is to collectors. And it was probably like the lowest price I got on Amazon.com, and all the other prices were really, really high. And so go on, I have Backlash and Judgment Day and King of the Ring. I just recently got in the mail today, I just recently got Invasion, which is a pretty decent pay-per-view. I just got done watching it, and it's pretty crazy at the end of the night with the inaugural brawl with WCW, ECW versus WWF. It was so cool. And now I have SummerSlam, Unforgiven, and No Mercy, Survivor Series. Survivor Series is probably the second most expensive DVD I've gotten, because it cost me $45 for Survivor Series. And like I said, all the old WWF DVDs were really rare because they were put on VHS. So that's why this wasn't also an expensive DVD. So move on, we got Vengeance, and that's basically all the 2001s that I have. I think that's probably the only DVDs that are on for 2001. Then we move on to No Way Out, and I recently just got No Way Out too. I just got it today also. It was probably like, it was $35 when I bought it, and I haven't watched it yet, but I'm still waiting to see it. And you guys are complaining about like the lighting during like this video. I'm really sorry. It's my shadow getting in the way. I wish like my shadow would like leave so I can do this video, but alright, so I have WrestleMania 18. Oh, if you guys want to know why I didn't get Volume 4 WrestleMania, because when I bought WrestleMania for $75, the WrestleMania 17, because I collected WrestleMania 19, 20, 21, and 22 before, like, during when my collection was starting to build. So I was like, maybe if I don't buy the Volume 4 WrestleMania, I should probably just buy the other ones, like WrestleMania 17 and 18 and all the others. And moving on, I have Backlash, SummerSlam, Unforgiven, and Survivor Series, and Armageddon. And that's basically all the 2002s that I happen to have. I am really, really, really in the process of trying to get Judgment Day 2002. It's really rare, and it's a really, really expensive DVD, and I really want it. And that's like one of the top 10 rarest DVDs that a collector really needs. So and then we go on to 2003s, as it spells out 2003. We start from Royal Rumble and all the way down to Armageddon. And this pay-per-view is Insurrection 2003. It was a okay pay-per-view. It wasn't the best. But moving on, I have Royal Rumble 2004, No Way Out, WrestleMania, Backlash, and Judgment Day, Bad Blood, Great American Bash, Vengeance, SummerSlam, Unforgiven, and No Mercy, Taboo Tuesday, Survivor Series, and Armageddon. And 2005s, I have all 2005s, from New Year's Revolution to ECW One Night Stand, like one of my first DVDs that I bought for my birthday, to Armageddon 2005, which is a okay pay-per-view. But then we go to 2006s, we go to New Year's Revolution. It was an okay pay-per-view, I guess. The Elimination Chamber wasn't that great though, but Edge cashing this Money in the Bank for the first time ever, like in wrestling history, has to be like one of the greatest moments in WWE. And Royal Rumble, No Way Out. I made a review on No Way Out 2006, the match with Kurt Angle and The Undertaker and their classic World Heavyweight title defense match. If you want to watch that match, my review on that match, and look up Wrestling Pick Wednesday season, episode 1, Kurt Angle and The Undertaker. And then I reviewed that match. Then we go to WrestleMania 22, which was an awesome WrestleMania. And down here, we have Backlash, Vengeance. I also made a review on Vengeance 2006, the match with Kane versus Imposter Kane, which is I really hate that fucking match. I swear. I really want to like punch myself in the face for watching that match and doing a review on it. I almost took my eyeballs and just like poked them out and threw them on the floor. I was so disgusted. So then we go to Judgment Day and ECW One Night Stand 2006, another great One Night Stand pay-per-view. Then we go to the Great American Bash and SummerSlam and Unforgiven, No Mercy and Cyber Sunday and Survivor Series. And this pay-per-view, I regret buying this pay-per-view. This only cost me $2 on Amazon.com, and this is a piece of fucking garbage. I really hate this pay-per-view. Only except for the tag team match with the Hardys and Eminem, which is a really great tag team match, but that pay-per-view was just god-awful. And then we go to the last pay-per-view of 2006, Armageddon. It was really good. Then we go to the 2007s. At first, I didn't really own a lot of 2007s. The only 2007s I owned, like during the beginning of my collection, was the Great American Bash. Then I recently just got all these 2007 pay-per-views in the mail, like earlier this week. And I start off with New Year's Revolution, a really decent pay-per-view. And then we go to Royal Rumble, an amazing Last Man Standing match with John Cena and Umaga was phenomenal. No Way Out 2007 wasn't really that good. WrestleMania 23 was pretty decent. And then we go to Backlash. Judgment Day was such a horrible pay-per-view. I hated it. Judgment Day 2007 has to be like one of the worst pay-per-views ever made during that year. But the only match that kind of stood out to this pay-per-view was the CM Punk Elijah Burke match, which actually made me stand on my feet the whole time for CM Punk. Then we go to One Night Stand and Vengeance, Night of Champions, and then you all know what happened during this time of the month. The Chris Benoit murder-suicide was on the case, and then supposed to show up at to defend to face ECW champion John Morrison, and it was just a really crazy, scary weekend for the WWE. Then we go to the first 2007 pay-per-view that I happened to own during my build-up in my collection, was the Great American Bash. It was alright. Then we go to SummerSlam, then Unforgiven, No Mercy, Cyber Sunday. Survivor Series 2007, the only match I really love on this DVD was the Hell in the Cell between Batista and The Undertaker. What a shocking ending to that match was. It was really crazy. Then we go to Armageddon, then going to 2008, we have the Royal Rumble, which the return of John Cena was one of the biggest surprise moments in WWE, and also winning the Royal Rumble. Then we go to No Way Out, and then WrestleMania 24, an amazing WrestleMania, just only for The Undertaker and Edge and the Money in the Bank match, and also the Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair match was awesome. Then we go to Backlash and Judgment Day, and One Night Stand's a really crazy pay-per-view. That was probably one of the best One Night Stand pay-per-views ever. And then we go to Night of Champions and the Great American Bash, and during this time it was when the Shawn Michaels Chris Jericho feud was going on, and then this was named the Feud of the Year from Dave Meltzer in Pro Wrestling Illustrated, Feud 2008. Then we go to SummerSlam. This was supposed to be the night where Shawn Michaels announced retirement, but then Chris Jericho to be an asshole and, you know, imitate Michael some more, and, you know, got him to stay in wrestling. Then we go to Unforgiven, a really phenomenal unsanctioned match with Jericho and Michaels, really, really cool. Then we go to Cyber Sunday and No Mercy. I made a video, it was in September of last year. I couldn't post it on YouTube because of the fact that it was blocked because of a footage I showed for during the trailer or promo for Michaels and Jericho, and I couldn't post it. And it was for the No Mercy match coming up for their match. But then they had a classic ladder match. It was also named Match of the Year for that year, 2008, by Dave Meltzer. And then Survivor Series, rated one of the worst pay-per-views of 2008. Then we go to Armageddon, which is another great pay-per-view. No Way Out, 2009, starting 2009. It was a good No Way Out, really good. Then we go to WrestleMania 25, which is a good pay-per-view. It wasn't that great, but it was good. Then we go to Backlash and Judgment Day. And then I really loved this time of the, like, from Judgment Day to Bash because of the infamous Chris Jericho vs. Rey Mysterio Intercontinental Championship match. And then the Bash was their best match out of the whole trilogy, and I had to get them. Then we go to SummerSlam, Breaking Point, Hell in a Cell, and Bragging Rights, which also contain 4 matches with John Cena and Randy Orton. And I happen to say the Bragging Rights 2009 really lived up the hype, and their Iron Man match was really great. Then Tables, Ladders, and Chairs 2009, and really another great pay-per-view. Then we go into 2010, which wasn't the greatest year for WWE, when the WWE PG era started like kicking in really hard, and it really fucked up the company. But then you go to Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber, Extreme Rules, Over the Limit. Over the Limit 2010 was like, it was given really bad reviews on Wikipedia from critics, saying like it was really odd because there was a bunch of matches on that pay-per-view that had to be stopped from because the guys were bleeding. And that really pissed off the people because it wasn't necessary for the referees to go in and stop the match because of blood showing on the faces of the wrestlers. That was so awful. Then we go to Fatal 4-Way, Money in the Bank, a really great pay-per-view. SummerSlam 2010, which was not a good SummerSlam. Then we go to Hell in a Cell with then we go to Night of Champions. Oh, this is backwards. It's supposed to be right over here. And during this time, this is when the Undertaker and Kane feud was going on, and the only good match from the rivalry was the Night of Champions, and their No Holds Barred match was really cool. Their Hell in a Cell was just a piece of shit, and their Bragging Rights match was so bad. Their Buried Alive match was so terrible. Then we go to TLC, which was also good pay-per-view. Then we can see that I don't really have a lot of 2011s, but we see Over the Limit and Capital Punishment. Money in the Bank. Money in the Bank will live on as one of the greatest pay-per-views ever for WWE, and this was a really phenomenal pay-per-view. Thank God I got this. I think I got this later last year, and it was like $12.99. It was like 5 months after this pay-per-view was aired on pay-per-view, and I'm so happy to own it. The John Cena CM Punk match blew my balls off. Then we go to SummerSlam, like a sequel to the classic match, but it wasn't the classic match, but you could say it was really, really good. Then we go to TLC 2011, another great pay-per-view. Then we move down here. Extreme Rules 2012. Extreme Rules 2012 should have been named the 2012 Best Major Show of the Year. This was a great pay-per-view. The match that really stole the show. Actually, 2 of them should have stole the show was Chris Jericho and CM Punk in the Chicago Street Fight, or the Sheamus and Daniel Bryan 2 out of 3 Falls match was so orgasmically awesome. And I'll have to put it right here since I'm having a hard time putting it in. Okay, so then we go to the DVD sets now. We go to This DVD will live on as one of the greatest DVDs ever made. The Rise and Fall of ECW. This DVD, no lie, this actually made me go into tears. It made me bawl my eyes out, like a little bit, but not much. This is the first time a wrestling documentary made me cry. This was an amazing pay-per-view, DVD set, not a pay-per-view, I meant. This was a really amazing DVD. I loved it. Then we go to Bloodsport, ECW, Hardcore, another favorite DVD set of mine, or not DVD set, because it's single disc. The Monday Night Wars, another great DVD. Brock Lesnar, Here Comes the Pain, and Mick Foley, Hard Knocks, Cheap Pops. My two first DVDs I bought to start my collection. Obviously, you know, the Twister, South of Kane, and Tombstone. Undertaker Deadliest Matches, and another great DVD set, The Undertaker Streak. Really good. Then we go to The Rock, Most Electrifying Man in Sports Entertainment. Another great documentary, the Stone Cold, the newest Stone Cold documentary that just came out like last year. Then we go to One Last Stand DX, and another great documentary, the Think You Know Me Story of Edge, was a really good documentary. I didn't really get to see the matches. I think it shows matches when he first started and like till his last match was at WrestleMania. But this was a really good documentary. I just didn't get to see his matches on this DVD set. Then we go to Life of a Masked Man, Rey Mysterio, another great DVD set. Wrestling's Highest Flyers, another really crazy DVD set. Best of King of the Ring, and then as you all know, I made a review on Kurt Angle versus Shane McMahon from their classic street fight from King of the Ring 2001, which I have right here, but I can't pull it out. But this match is one of my favorite matches of all time. It was probably the craziest match I've ever seen in my life. It was so good. And then the ladder match 2, both good DVD sets. The Great Steel Cage matches, wasn't that impressed. There were some Steel Cage matches that were probably left out. The Hell in a Cell 3-disc set was really great. Satan's Prison, the Anthology Elimination Chamber, Falls Count Anywhere. The history of the Intercontinental Championship, only won for one match, was the Bret Hart versus British Bulldog Classic Intercontinental title match from SummerSlam 1992. Really wanted to see that on DVD, and I got to, and then so happy to get it. Then we go to the history of the WWE title. Another one match I wanted to see on here with the Bret Hart versus Owen Hart WWE title match and their infamous Steel Cage match from SummerSlam 1994. Really great match. And then the history of the World Heavyweight title. What good match on here that I really like? I think it was, let me see. I actually love the Hulk Hogan versus Ric Flair Steel Cage match from WCW. That was really crazy. It was a career versus career. But as you all know, the retirement matches or career versus career probably didn't even work because of the always like return of a wrestler. Then we go to Raw, The Beginning, Volumes 1 and 2, another good DVD set. Then we go to The True Story, History of WrestleMania, or not History of WrestleMania, just True Story of WrestleMania. It was a good DVD set. It tells you a lot about the beginning and the to like the present of WrestleMania. Then we go to the NWO Revolution. I recently just made a review, or a few months ago, I made a review on the Hollywood Hogan versus the Giant from Hog Wild 1996, and it was on this DVD set, and it was such a horrible match. It was so boring and really like tiring to see. They become to like one of my favorite DVDs of all time. The Rise and Fall of WCW, Clash of the Champions, Starrcade, and the Best of WCW Nitro. And then I'm also in the process of getting the Best of Nitro Volume 2. And then I haven't gotten that yet, though. Oh, and what is this thing right here? Well, I happen to be a fan of WCW back in the day. Well, actually, I didn't make it. I bought discs, like bootlegged discs from a guy who had WCW Nitro 2000 events, and I recently I actually didn't recently get this though, but I recently just made this whole thing. Like I burnt discs I made, and I burnt the pay-per-views from 2000 and put them on discs to go with the with this WCW set, and then it was just so fun to make. I have all their 2000 pay-per-views except for 3 of them. They were so bad anyways. So I have there's another pay-per-view that I have, WCW Spring Stampede 1994. I didn't really get to see it, but and this is the only WWF pay-per-view that I have on bootleg, is Fully Loaded 2000. I've always wanted to see the 2000 WWF pay-per-views that were put on DVD, and I've always wanted to own more WWF pay-per-views from 2000, and they're not on discs, they're on cassette tapes. I don't have a VCR. And then we go on to, that's end with WWE, and then we go to Ring of Honor. I recently just got Ring of Honor's the Samoa Joe vs. CM Punk Collector's Edition. Really great set. It's all their 3 matches from their trilogy of matches from Ring of Honor, and their classic matches. Their second match in the trilogy was so orgasmically awesome. Then we go to the Ring of Honor Stars of Honor, which has some of our Ring of Honor's greatest matches. Then we go on to the TNA pay-per-views. I don't own a lot of them, but I sure have some of them. We start off with Against All Odds 2005, Destination X 2005, really great pay-per-view. Unbreakable 2005. This will live down. It's like one of the greatest pay-per-views I've ever bought from TNA. The only, I think 3 matches stood out really good. Was the Raven versus Rhino title match, and it was so bloody and amazing. And the 3-way match for the X Division title, Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels, and AJ Styles, was a fantastic match. And then I also love the Jeff Hardy versus Bobby Roode match. It was so good. These matches are amazing. And we go to Bound for Glory 2005. And then we go to Turning Point 2005. Sacrifice 2006. And Sacrifice 2006 was actually a pretty decent pay-per-view. And I think that's the only 2006 pay-per-view I have for TNA. Then we go on to Final Resolution, Destination Next, another great pay-per-view. Lockdown 2007, one of the worst matches that was rated by Dave Meltzer was the Chris Harris versus James Storm, and the blindfold steel cage match was so boring and terrible. Then we go on to Sacrifice 2007, which probably took that Chris Harris versus James Storm match and put it into the trash can and made their second match the most brutal match I've ever seen in TNA. It was probably one of my favorite TNA matches of all time, right near the 3-way X Division title match from Unbreakable. Then we go to Slammiversary and Victory Road. And that's pretty much all my DVDs I have so far. But as I said moments ago, I'm going to be getting more wrestling merchandise, and this is not it. This is not the end of the collection. No. There's bigger collections out there in this world, and I'm going to have a really huge collection in the future. So this is my DVD collection, so now let's move on to my video games and my books and my bobbleheads and my shirt. Okay, so you see my DVD collection. So now I'm going to show you guys, I have one wrestling book and video games. So let's start off with the classic, critically acclaimed WCW vs. the World. My first PlayStation 1 wrestling game that I've owned in my childhood. Really good game. I made a review on this. You want to check that out. I have WWF SmackDown, one of the first WWF games I've owned when I was a kid. Really great game, and they're must own. I have SmackDown vs. Raw 2000, no, not 2007, but the first one, and it's in a DVD sleeve. I'm sorry if it's not in a case. Just how it was when I got it. I got SmackDown 2 Know Your Role. Possibly one of the greatest SmackDown games ever made during the PS1, and really amazing. I have ECW Anarchy Rules, the second ECW game, and then the best one next to their Hardcore Revolution game, which was awful, but this is a really good game. Play it, I guess. WCW Nitro. If you want to check out my Nitro review, watch that, and give you all my opinions and facts on this game. God, don't play it. I got In Your House, sequel to WrestleMania arcade game. It's cool to play for the first time, but then later it gets kind of boring. Then I have Thunder, another piece of shit game next to Nitro. Really crappy piece of shit. Then we go to the Nintendo 64 games. We have Nitro, WrestleMania 2000, one of my favorite N64 games of all time during this period when WWF started coming out with video games. One of my favorites. I love this game to date. I have Attitude, better than Warzone, the sequel to Warzone is this one, but better than the last one. It was okay. WCW NWO Revenge, a sequel to the game that's going to be coming up to you in a short moment, and it's a really good game, another must-own for wrestling fans if you have an N64. I have WWF No Mercy. Don't ask me why the cover's like this. I would never do this to a game like this. Someone never took care of this game, obviously, when the cover on the cartridge is all fucked up, so don't blame me for this. I didn't do it. I bought it from a flea market. We have WCW Mayhem. It was a really good game when WCW wasn't doing that well, but still good. And we have Backstage Assault. A piece of fucking garbage. And I have the critically acclaimed, possibly one of the best wrestling games during the early Monday Night Wars, WCW NWO World Tour. Possibly one of my favorite wrestling games of all time. I remember coming off the bus every Friday, and I would run into my house, grab a bunch of junk food, and play this game all night and all weekend, and I wouldn't get off it once. It was such a really amazing game. A really must own if you have an N64, and if you don't have this, get it. Okay, N64 is done, so now let's move on to the PlayStation 2. Alright, so start off, I have SmackDown Shut Your Mouth. One of my first PS2 wrestling games that I've owned. It was a really, really great game. It's a must own. You cannot find this game anywhere anymore, like GameStop or possibly in the stores anymore where they sell video games. The only possible place you can find this on is on eBay or Amazon.com. And I got this, I think it was the last copy of this in GameStop. And then this is a really must own. You need to get it and play it. Then we go to the sequel to that awesome wrestling game, SmackDown Here Comes the Pain. This is one of my all-time favorite SmackDown games for the PlayStation 2. This game will never be topped in the SmackDown series. This is the best one. If you're a wrestling fan and you don't have this game, buy it now. Get it? Okay, so we move on. TNA Impact. PlayStation 2, and then I really haven't. I never played it since I bought it. I don't know why I got this, but it's a wrestling game. Got it from a flea market for like $6, so I guess you can get it. Then we go to SmackDown vs. Raw 2007. I know you guys are thinking, where the hell is the cover for this game? Well, apparently when I got this game at GameStop, they didn't have a case for it. They had it in one of those DVD sleeves for the, like the SmackDown vs. Raw. They had it in this kind of sleeve. And then got sick and tired of owning games in the sleeve, so I just got myself a case and just put it in. If you want to know if I have it, there you go. It's okay game. Okay, so now let's move on to the Super Nintendo game. I have WrestleMania the arcade game. This is the worst version of WrestleMania, the arcade game. It's missing two characters I love to play the most, Bam Bam Bigelow and Yokozuna. I used to have this game for the Sega Genesis. And if you want to play this game, get it for the Sega Genesis if you own one, or a PlayStation 1. But this game does not have those characters, so do not buy this version. Moving on, Royal Rumble. Another great game. It was actually a really good game. And the only thing that I found that was a flaw in this game was the fact of not having Hulk Hogan in this game. I used to own this game also for the Sega Genesis, and it had Hulk Hogan in that version. I really loved playing Hulk Hogan in almost every wrestling game that I had, since I was a huge Hulk Hogan fan. So this game actually has a really huge roster and good characters to play as, so I think you should stick with this version. But if you want to play as Hulk Hogan, get the Genesis version if you have one. Then my last Super Nintendo game that I have is probably the first wrestling game made for the Super Nintendo, is Super WrestleMania. And this game is okay. It's just really slow and kind of choppy. I don't know why I bought it, but it's just to have for the collection, I guess. So, okay, so moving on to the grand finale of my video games is WWE 13. This is my all-time, right now, my all-time favorite WWE game ever. This game has a lot of creativity, great roster, a lot of shit to do. The Attitude Era, whatever it's called, the Attitude Era mode on this game is amazing. Please, if you do not have this game, buy it. Buy it now. Even though it's only a few months old, but buy it. Okay, so that's the end of my video game collection. So now to move on with probably one of the greatest books I've ever read, and possibly like one of the recently books I've read, because I barely read. Who the hell reads these days? The Death of WCW. This book kept me up all night. I read this book in 2 or 3 days, and it's only, I think, maybe 333 pages this book is, and I finished this in 3 days because of how awesome this book is. If you are a fan of reading and a fan of wrestling, obviously, buy this book. It has a lot of details on the death of WCW, the beginning, and how it's declining, and it's build up and becoming a great company, and a lot of shit they went through during the worst year of WCW. Buy this book. Really good. So that's the end of my video game collection and the only book I got. So now let's move on to the grand finale, the main event, the thing that I've had the most for a long time. My bobblehead collection. Okay guys, let's get to the bobbleheads now. And I only have 6, so let's get to the 6 bobbleheads. First off, we start with Kurt Angle, Kane, and Stone Cold Steve Austin. And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so. That's the way Stone Cold said it. Then we move on over here. We have Triple H, The Rock, and The Undertaker. And that's the end of my bobbleheads collection. And the grand finale is coming up right now. So that's my DVD, video game, book, bobblehead collection. To the grand finale now is the Ryback shirt. Me and my friend Damien went to a Raw live event on January the 7th, the very first Raw 2013, where Ryback faced CM Punk in a tables, ladders, and chairs match for the WWE title, and me and Damien decided to buy Ryback shirts to support him in his title match. And this shirt cost, I think, about $20 for it, but it was a really decent price. And I'm gonna be planning in the future to get more like shirts and like more merchandise. And this is not the end of my collection, because there's plenty more out there that I really need to get. So I want to thank you all for watching this video, and comment to see how good of your collection is compared to mine, and think of other stuff that I can get to improve my collection. And then for all you avid wrestling fans out there, have a good night.